Alright, so this is my Special Forces Episode 8 review. And oh boy, this ran the gambit of emotions. So it starts off with Hannah being called, and she's going to be I think they said duty recruit. And, so she makes up for Dwight what their breakfast is going to be, and she made up this huge spread, and they ended up getting gruel. But Dwight appreciated that she can eat a lot, that she eats like a big girl. And so you can see how much fun they have together. They all enjoy each other's company. And this is right after Mike Piazza decided to call it quits. He had a really rough night. His face really hurt. And you could see also the difference between his relationship and Gus, because Gus was the one who asked him about his face, whereas at the very beginning they hated each other. Well, I shouldn't say they hated each other, but Gus didn't like him. I still think it has a lot more to do with him not fawning, but him seemingly to be enamored with Mooch, and being a gay man, you almost are forced to be politically knowledgeable of what's going on, simply because so many people are deciding that your existence should be rubbed out, that you should not have the right to exist because you dare be gay. So he probably didn't like Mooch for being being in the same orbit as Trump, even if it was for a little while, just the fact that he was part of it. But anyway, so Piazza decided, I've had enough. And he, in his confessional, he said that when he was an athlete, he probably could have gone a year or two beyond his retirement, but he decided that he wasn't his 100%. So, same thing here. It's like, okay, I'm not doing anybody any favors. He keeps talking about the team, but I guess technically they're a team, but everything has been individual up to this point. So he decided to leave. So then they're all having fun over breakfast. Dwight is bummed that he didn't get eggs. So so then they get called for their next assignment. Gus asks what the temperature is, and he makes fun of how cold it is. I guess it's been well over 100 degrees, because 95 is considered a winter weather advisory. A winter storm is coming, a winter front. And so they get called for their next task. And the task is and this time all 4 staff are involved. So yay, return of Foxy. I would love to know where he had been. I know that he has this Live Life to the Fullest tour, but I would think that whoever manages that would be smart enough not to have it while he's filming. But anyway, so all the staff is there, And Remy is the one demonstrating the task. So he dives into the water at the buoy and waits for a helicopter, and he climbs up the rope. And it's impressed upon the recruits that this could literally be a matter of life or death. This could be your only way out from the enemy. And which is something that they emphasize every time. But this is something that you see in the movies. This is something that they should be fully versed in, that this is a thing. So because they get to see it visually in movies, in disaster movies, it should, hit them more. But so the first one to go up is Hannah. Now, before I get to that, this is the first time Remy seemed to not necessarily struggle, but you see him giving effort. That it's not like doop-de-doop-de-doo. And I was on his Instagram, and I think he also has a bum shoulder, so that seems to be going around. Oh, and as an aside, I also finally found out how old he is. He's 40. So I was right, he is the youngest of the four. I just didn't think it was still that close to the others. So Remy is 40, Foxy is 46, Rudy is 50, and Billy is 57. So they're all around, I mean, there's still quite a bit of an age difference between Remy and Billy, but um it's a nice progression. So anyway, so Remy seemed to be showing some effort. So Hannah's the first one up. And I don't know if how they choose who goes first, but I wonder if they did ladies first because they figured the guys had it. Especially those who just had just retired from their sports, or because they just simply, because Hannah isn't an athlete, they didn't want to put undue pressure on her as to, like, when Mooch saw that Danny had problems running up the tower, and he's like, oh dear God. That idea, that not to put anything in her head that the athletes were having issues. So have her go first. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how they pick. So she goes first, and nothing. She had absolutely nothing in the tank. Absolutely nothing. She barely got, I don't know if she even managed to get a little bit out of the water. So, and they're allowed 2 tries at this, which is also a first. They've never done that before. And her second time, she said she had a better grip, but still, yeah, no. And then the worst part was she had to swim to shore while the helicopter was overhead, which that had to suck. Not that trying to climb up a wet rope didn't, but that whole process must seriously, seriously suck so bad. So, he. So next up was Carly. And it does seem like that they were going by skill level, because Carly is the most skilled woman between her and Hannah, because, well, Carly's the athlete and she's just retired. So Carly attempted, and she got higher than Hannah. So I thought, okay, maybe she'll do well. But nope. She didn't make it either. So she swam to shore. Now, for those who haven't been watching Special Forces and are just following these reviews for whatever reason, you get to see Dwight without his shirt on. So there's that. I don't know why he took his shirt off at this point because, well, you're about to do a task. What the hell? But he took his shirt off. And apparently, Gus is still an idiot. But anyway, so next up was Dwight. So he has his shirt on at this point. He's fully dressed. He's getting ready to go, and he says how much he's worried about this task because he's going to be jumping into an ocean. Which led me to wonder, I don't know who it was, if it was on Survivor, it was a celebrity, black man, or a black man on Survivor, mentioning that water is the black man's kryptonite. So, which made me wonder if Dwight knows how to swim. Which I would hope that if he didn't, that he would have said something. Because, obviously they keep talking about dying, but they don't actually want you to die now. Number one, celebrities, and number two, it's training. The idea is not to kill people off. It might be to get them to quit, but not to die. So he jumps into the water, and one of the staff members was explaining that he's expending energy because he got to the buoy too fast. And it's like, what is he supposed to do? He's 6'8". Of course he's going to get to the buoy faster. He has longer arms. It's not going to take him as long just by virtue of that. It's not like it's who's a better technician in swimming. He's right there, and he's 6'8", so getting to the buoy, easy for him. So I guess he can swim, just a matter of for how long. And so he starts climbing, and he just fails spectacularly at this task. And not only does he fall in, but he doesn't come up. So Billy calls on the safety crew to come and get him. I was actually kind of bummed at that. I thought one of the staff, like, say, a certain Navy SEAL, would just dive in and help him out. But, the safety crew are in scuba gear, and they're right there, whereas Remy was further along. So I thought maybe staff would jump in and help him, but it was the safety crew. And so they dove in. And I'm not sure if they helped him or if Dwight finally came up on his own. Because first Dwight surfaced, and then the safety staff surfaced. Now, like I said, I do read these boys' Instagrams. I didn't go to Dwight's to see if Dwight had an Instagram, but they asked Remy about him, and Remy's response was hilarious. That a shark pulled him down, he defeated the shark, and then came up. Which I thought was hilarious. Remy has the best sense of humor. But anyway, so Dwight then comes back aboard, and Remy is trying to get him to run. And Remy is getting annoyed that he's not running. And he's like, I have no energy. Now, again, remember, this man is 6'8". What it takes for him to be at peak energy is not the same as for any of the other people there. I mean, Danny's a big boy. Gus is a big boy in the sense that they're built. They still do not need as much energy as Dwight does, simply because they're almost a foot shorter than him. So he was completely wiped, and Gus had even said before that they want everybody at 100%, at 110%. He doesn't even have 100% at this point. And Hannah even said, everybody's running on fumes. And Remy's like, what the hell do you mean by that? But anyway, so next up is Danny. So Danny made quick work of it, and everybody's like, damn, that's impressive. So Danny got up, no problem. And then it's Gus's turn. Oh, Gus. So he forgot his armband once before when they were putting on the suit to be set on fire. You'd think he would have learned from that, make sure you have your armband on. No, for some reason that I don't think even Gus understands, he took his armband off. Which, why? I can understand Dwight taking his shirt off before I could understand taking your armband off. I mean, seriously, what is that doing? Absolutely nothing. So he's like, I don't have my armband. I think it blew away. And he's like, okay, you'll pay the man later. We'll deal with it later. So he goes in and all arms, just like Remy did, all arms. And so they were super impressed with that. Now, so that's me being annoyed with Gus number 1. Because Foxy even said, I half expected you to do a somersault into the water. He goes, yeah, I learned my lesson. But you couldn't learn your lesson about the damn armband. Seriously. So they're going back to the camp. Now, Remy told Gus that you're going to have to pay the man later. So what does Gus do when he gets there? He strips. Now, I get that, they all want to relax and, get out of their wet clothes and all that. I understand that. But he knew that he was going to have to do an extra task. So, plus there's usually 2 tasks a day. So, what is with this getting undressed? Oh, I forgot to mention that when I'm sorry, it wasn't Remy that Hannah was talking to, it was Billy. And Billy had the best line. You had more rest than a dead man. Billy has the best lines. He really does. But anyway, so it's time to pay the man. So Gus is quickly trying to get dressed. Carly and Hannah are trying to help him get dressed. So he goes out, and it's a rather simple exercise. Jump into the water, completely cover yourself in dirt. Take off your hat, cover your face, cover your hair, and Gus is just looking at him like, what? What the hell? So he does that. And Remy asks him if he learned his lesson, and he initially wanted him to do this for an hour, but because he was honest, he cut it to half an hour. So, and before this, they had a talk with Dwight. and a therapy session with Dwight, because these things are mostly therapy sessions. But anyway, so Gus is, I guess, because he has to keep himself wet and covered in dirt for half an hour, instead of just sitting around doing nothing, I assume he had to go back in, because all of a sudden he starts hacking. He starts coughing, and everybody's like, what the hell is going on? And he's coughing, 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 and Carly's just sitting there as he is vomiting. Now, I understand, now it's frustrating to see her do that, but I get it. I mean, what can you do? But I don't know, maybe call staff instead of waiting for him to hack so hard that Remy can actually hear it, because the way I saw that, nobody actually got staff. Remy just went to check to see what's going on. So he gets the medic. The medic takes him to the bay, and to the medical bay, and he's hacking away, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong. Are you allergic to bee stings? Are you allergic to this? Are you allergic to that? And the answer is no. And I've read articles since then, and Gus like, we still don't know. I still don't know what I was allergic to. He thinks that it was some bacteria in the water, because apparently that water had been standing there the entire time they were there, and really gross. But anyway, so he starts hacking. They take him to the medical bay, and then they eventually have to pull him. First, they give him adrenaline, also known as epinephrine. That's why I'm putting adrenaline in quotes, because it was an EpiPen. They used epinephrine, which is what you use for allergy attacks. And Gus didn't want to leave, but they had to pull him out, so he had a medical withdrawal. And now he said nobody could figure out what he's allergic to. Now, I had a situation where I was so stressed, plus I ate shellfish, which that's when I discovered I'm allergic to shellfish. I had shellfish before, and my eyelids would swell and numb a little bit, but it never connected, because I also would have a beer, and I'm a little allergic to alcohol. So I had shellfish, I had beer, I was dusting, because I was getting a computer ready. This was like 20 years ago. I was trying to get a computer cleaned up to give to a coworker. So I had all these allergens, just perfect storm. I woke up, my face had swollen. So it could be something like that, a perfect storm. It was really hot, extreme stress. He doesn't have 100% energy because of the way they're working them. And so all of this came together to attack him. But anyway, so he left. He felt he didn't want to leave. And like I said, I read articles later saying, yeah, we still don't know. I still don't know what I'm allergic to. And so this really sucks, because Gus was doing well, even if he is a bit of a shithead. It's so stupid. But he was doing well. And the way he climbed up that rope without legs was just a sight to behold. So that super sucked. So their next task, which I swear these second tasks are based on what happens with the interviews. You know, they talked with Dwight, he talked about his father and how he never felt his parents were were proud of him because, you know, they're Christians, and, you know, the NBA has a certain lifestyle, and yada yada yada. So I wonder, and it seems like same thing with Carly with the um with the fight, that they pick the second task based on what happened with the recruits earlier that day. So, oh, and another thing about Dwight, found it, I don't know, I found this actually funny when Danny, I know I shouldn't have, but when Danny said that his shoulder still isn't back to normal, that his shoulder is still hurting from his fight with Dwight. I don't know why I found that funny, but I guess because, well, yeah, you were fighting some guy who's 6'8", so yeah. But so they had to write death letters. Letters to that would be sent to your family if in case you didn't make it. And that left me bawling. I mean, that just killed me. So I went from anger at Gus for being such a lunkhead to crying because of these letters. And Dwight was just, he was just bawling. But this I also found entertaining, which I don't know why. But Foxy asked Dwight how's he, if he's finished with his letter, and he goes, I'm only on my third one and I have 5 kids. So he was writing a letter to each of his kids, which made me wonder, how old are they? Do they not live with their mother? You know, wondering if maybe, I don't know if he's married or how many relationships he's had. So I don't know if all of these kids are with the same woman. And no, it's not a racist thing because I know white people can do that too. So, and it's just, but like I said, maybe it could be that they're just older. So at least some of them might be older and have lives of their own. I don't know. And so they all had to read their letters to each other, which I had no idea what the point of that was. Carly did call it therapy, and Dwight agreed. So maybe that was the point, to create a bond with everybody, even though they already were bonding, but to create a bond, creating a bond based on the fact that they all have families that care about them. So, which kind of makes me wonder, now I feel bad that Gus wasn't a part of this, because whenever someone is in the closet, and he actually said that kissing girls made him cry, makes me wonder, I don't know how his parents feel about this. I mean, it's entirely possible that, like like it happens with some gay people, that they just, because of the way some people in society treat gay people, that they're afraid that their parents will ostracize them, or that their families will ostracize them. So that they put pressure on themselves that needn't be there, that the parents are not as judgmental as they think they're going to be. Or if there is something going on with the parents. I don't know. But that would have been an interesting insight into Gus, who he would be writing a letter to. I assume he would be writing a letter to his boyfriend, but beyond that. So, yeah, that would have been fun to have seen, but it would have been interesting. So they read their letters, they mention that it's therapy, and the episode ends with scenes from next week, which looks super intense, and this is the first time you see them having to work together. Now, it's not exactly explained what's happening. It just looks like the staff is hunting the recruits. So I looked it up, and it is simulating them being dropped off behind enemy lines, and they have to figure their way out. So, and the big thing is the recruits just have themselves, and the staff have guns. So, at this point, you're like, why didn't you give them gun training? I mean, if for no other reason, in their actual lives, if any of them have guns, they would actually know how to properly use them. Since, the Second Amendment is like the greatest thing since sliced bread in this country. But, so yeah. So I guess they just have to figure out how to get out of enemy lines just using their wits. And Carly is looking at a map saying, I have no idea where we are. So that's not a good start. Not a good start at all. But, to be dropped off like that in the desert and you have no landmarks to tell you where you are. Yeah, I wouldn't, I don't know. I don't blame her for not knowing where she is. Anyway, with that, I think I've yapped long enough, and I will see you guys next week.